Here we go. Just kidding. What's up, everybody? It's your boy again. This is Dyl Talks Sports. We're back with another episode. Uh, this episode's going to be a little dive into Rory getting that Grand Slam, that victory at the Masters, which is one of the greatest things I've seen all year. If you don't think so, you ain't got a heart. And then the back half of the episode is going to be a little bit talk about the NBA playoffs. Brackets came out yesterday. It's all set in stone now. So really excited to see what's going on there. And let's dive right in. So yesterday was the conclusion of I think it was the 86th Masters tournament. And Rory McIlroy, man, he finally got his Grand Slam, which for those of my viewers that aren't much sports people, Grand Slam in golf means you've won a Masters, you've won the four majors. So there's four majors every year. So it's the Masters, the U.S. Open, the Open Championship, and the PGA Championship, right? Rory was sitting on three of them. I think his last win came in either 2014, 2015. So about 10 years coming now at that. So, a lot of people didn't know if he'd be able to get over the hump and do this. And, after a couple chokes late in big tournaments, and it kind of looked like at the early yesterday that same choke was coming in. It was tough to see, but Rory's been in a really good place ever since he spoke out against the live and all that stuff. And say what you want about Rory, but at least he stood up for something that he believed in. And not a lot of other people did that. You can say what you want about the live players; they did what's best for their family, and no one can ever bag on that. But leaving a tour that's been really, really good to you for many years, yeah, you might have not made as much money as you made on live, but you're making a lot more money than most people make in a year in one tournament. So I'm really sick and tired of that greed and all that kind of stuff. And that's going to remind me, we're going to get into Nico I don't know how to say his name, Iamaleava, I think it is, from Tennessee later as well, because that's just disgusting. But anyways, back to Rory McIlroy, man. For all of those, everyone that's been going through anything in life and been continuously pushing, trying to break through that wall, break through that ceiling, to get to where they are, and they've come short time and time again, and to finally get over that, man, that's truly beautiful, and that's what you want to see, man. That's some special stuff, and if you don't, even get a little bit emotional about that, do you even have a heart? Because a lot of people work really, really hard, whether it's for golf in Rory's case, or a job, or, anything in life. And so, you're going to be met with a lot of obstacles, but nothing in life worth it will come easy. And that's the truth of the matter. So, and that's kind of why I make these videos, man. I'm really passionate about sports, always have been passionate about sports, and love talking about them, got a lot of knowledge on a lot of them. There's some sports, of course, I could get a little bit more knowledge on, but I would say I got more knowledge than 95% of the people, for sure more than the people on ESPN right now, man. ESPN's really tanking their brand. I don't know what's going on, but that's a time for it's a story for another day. But Rory McIlroy finally breaking through after all the hardships and all the despair and all the close calls and stuff like that. It's wonderful to see, and you saw the emotion on his face after he won that playoff. Which he went to the playoff, he missed like a 6-footer for par to even not just win it outright without even going to a playoff. But, for Rory to hit that shot in the playoff, the first playoff hole after what happened on 18 before, that just proves his resilience and how far he's come as a golfer and, as a mental, because golf is between here more than it is, physically hitting the golf ball. Of course, you got to be good at hitting the golf ball. That's not a question. I mean, you can't just be bad and be mentally strong, but and be good at golf. But it happens like that, man. And it was great to see. They started out really rough for Roy. I think he doubled the first hole, and Bryson birdied. So was kind of going in the opposite direction. Bryson looked like he was going to ascend to it, and Rory was kind of going to go back to what he was. But Rory locked in after that and started hitting a lot of good iron shots, a lot of good driver. Always had a good driver. Probably the purest swing I've seen in golf. Always has been, always probably will be. The putter was always the thing that kind of let him down, but he's been getting a lot better putting over the years, and it served him right this week. So it was great to see what happened with Rory McIlroy and that win. And, it was a lot of great players at the top. Ludwig Aberg, second Masters again, coming in top 5 again. Really, really good player, consistent, young kid from Sweden, really making it happen. Bryson had one of the worst days. He was 10 under yesterday, shot 3 over yesterday. So finished at 7 under. Really bad day for Bryson, but he'll be back. Sometimes it happens, man. Sometimes in golf you just don't have it, and people don't want to say that, but some days you just don't have it in golf, man. Whether it's you're a professional or not, some days you're feeling good about it, some days you're not. And yesterday wasn't his day. Had a really couple breaks. A couple missed shots that he probably wishes he could have back. But this day's about Rory, and the thing that I would disagree with though is they're asking all these other golfers, what do you think about Rory? What do you think about Rory? What do you think about Rory? And that's all well and good. Like Shane Lowry, perfect example. He had a terrible day yesterday. In his immediate after round interview, they're asking about Rory. He's like, Rory's my friend, but I don't want to talk about Rory now. I want to talk about me. I had a terrible round, and that's what we're going to talk about. After the fact that Rory won, he was very appreciative and very, very grateful and helpful, and like hugged him, and that's his friend. That's no question. But after a tough round, you don't want to be like, oh yeah, this guy's doing really good. I played like shit, So, but again, it was great to see Rory, finally break through at the Masters. It was kind of a long time coming for him. Always been a really good golfer, really been a very good advocate for golf and the PGA Tour in general. So, if that doesn't tell you to persevere through anything, a lot of people could take a lesson from that. Just keep persevering, keep believing in yourself, and keep pushing through and keep working at your craft, and it will happen, man. It might not be overnight, it might not be in a year, it might not be in 2 years, but it comes. It's proven time and time again. Look at any successful person in the world. What do they continuously say? I was beaten down. Things weren't looking good, weren't looking up, and they kept persevering. And once you keep persevering, everything will happen. And all your dreams and achievements can happen if you just continue to persevere through. This is kind of Dyl Talks Sports, but this is kind of Dyl Talks Wisdom as well. Because it's the truth, man. Whether you're going through a tough time or a good time, just keep pushing through, man. Life is ups and downs. If you stay in a flow state and take the good with the bad, and you allow the bad to teach you about the good moments and appreciate the good moments, everything will happen, man. And a lot of my philosophy and has always come from, I don't know where it comes from. I've always thought this way. I've always been a very optimistic, positive person about things. I always flip it in a good way, because why does everything have to be negative? Yeah, some things are tough and things happen, and I get that, but continue to persevere, continue to push through it, and it will happen. And Rory's a perfect example. You saw the emotion on his face. You saw the emotion with everyone, just how grateful and appreciative they were for him. And, it's great to see that he finally got that Grand Slam that he's been waiting for. I think only like 6 players in history have a Grand Slam, I think they said. I know Tiger, because Tiger's the GOAT. I know people might say Jack Nicklaus. Jack Nicklaus is great. He ain't no Tiger Woods, man. Tiger Woods is the truth. Jack Nicklaus, I think Arnie Palmy for sure does. I really don't know who else. I think those are the 3. Let me look this up for y'all. Players with Grand Slam golf. Here we go. Perfect. Okay, so Gene Sarazen, Ben Hogan, Gary Player, Jack Nicklaus, Tiger Woods, Rory. So not even Arnold Palmer. That's interesting. I really thought Arnold Palmer did have a Grand Slam. So you know what? The more you know. But great for Rory McIlroy to complete that. He's always been at the top. Of the forefront of golf. He's always been one of the best golfers in the world. I remember those commercials when he was young. Of him emulating Tiger and watching him every single day and being like, wow, this is the best ever I've seen. So, it's really good to see Rory finally break through and get that. And I'm really happy for him and his family and everyone around him, because, good people win in the end. Sometimes it might not seem like that, and it might get difficult and all that. And I feel that, but it will happen, and keep believing that. But got to have some coffee. Colorado Avalanche, which we're rocking with the Avalanche in the NHL playoffs. DU with a tough loss, but we're moving on. So before we get in the NBA, let me dive into Nico with Tennessee, the Tennessee situation. I don't know how anybody could really be Team Nico. If you are, man, I'd love to hear in the comments below why you're Team Nico. I understand, players for amount of years have been getting exploited, and these colleges are making way too much money off him and this, that, and the other thing. But, what does Nico have? He was this 5-star great quarterback, whatever. I get that. But, no Heisman's, no Player of the Year, no SEC championship, no national championship. So for him to go around, like, without anyone really knowing, being like, oh, are you the highest bidder? My kid will transfer here. My kid will transfer here and all that. And, shout out, people might think bad about Dan Lanning at Oregon because of the CU thing a couple of years ago. But the respect that I gained for Dan Lanning for telling Josh Heupel what Nico Iamaleava is doing is, I think that's really rare in college football these days, especially with the NIL and everything about it. And, respect to Josh Heupel as well for saying, you know what, Nico, if you're going to do that, we don't want you. We don't want that on our team. That's not what we want. That's dividing a team. Football is team. There's a lot of sports that you can win individually. Basketball is a perfect example. If you have one or two good players, you could probably win a lot of games. Football is not. One great quarterback and one great receiver is not going to win you games, because if your defense is giving up 50 points a game, you're not scoring 50 a game with no O-line, no anything. So for Nico to put himself above everyone and think he's a special quarterback with no Heisman, no Player of the Year, no SEC championship, no anything, it's just gross, man. I think that's the problem with the NIL now. I think, I agree that the kids deserve a cut of whatever, and they deserve the money that because like I played with Josh Allen at University of Wyoming. How much money did he bring into University of Wyoming? A lot of money, because he was a superstar. But now it's turning into it's the NFL all over again, or NBA or anything. It's highest bidder, highest bidder, highest bidder. I'm not going to be loyal to this because of this. But it's like, you've been starting since freshman year. You really haven't done anything. You haven't even proven that you're that good of a quarterback. I know you were 5-star coming out of high school, but I don't care. I really don't care. All these 5-stars get this hot head that they're so special and whatnot. And if you look at University of Florida, who just won the national championship, as well as Houston, 0 5-stars on their team. That should tell you kind of about the ranking system it always has. I have had some gripes about the ranking system as well, because I think it's not true. Josh Allen, best quarterback in the NFL, no stars. Patty Mahomes, all these dudes, there's not really that had that many stars, because they get this high horse that they're so special and so entitled and they're the best ever, and they can stop working. And I just, I don't think that works. I mean, it's proven time and time again it doesn't work. I mean, there's not a lot of 5-stars out there that really pan out to be the best they could be, and whatever with that. So, that's my gripe there. But, shout out to Josh Heupel and Tennessee for actually doing the right thing and just cutting them loose and saying, we don't need this on our team. This isn't what Tennessee football is about, and this isn't what we're going to be about. So, I got to respect that on that. And Nico for doing what he did it kind of left a sour taste in my mouth, because I don't think that's a good quarterback. He's putting himself above the team, and the thing about being a great quarterback, me being a quarterback myself, is because you're the quarterback, you're always going to be above the team in some sense. The girls, the media, everyone's going to think you're the star of the team, and that's no question. But a real good quarterback realizes that, he respects that about himself. But when he's with the team, he's one of the boys. He is the team. It's the team with him. He's not above the law, and that's what I think that you see with the great quarterbacks in the NFL. As much as I'm dislike Mahomes, I don't think he thinks he's any better than the rest of the team. Josh Allen, Lamar, all these kids. Even Tom Brady went in his prime. Best ever. He was getting all this media attention. He's a star. He's Tom Brady. He's leading them all to Super Bowls. But it's a team, man. You're the quarterback of the team. You're the captain of the team. Lead by example. You're not special. You're special to everyone else. You are special because you're leading the team. You're the head of it. But the cogs of the wheel don't go without the cogs, without the kinks in the wheel. So, I don't know what's going to happen with Nico. I honestly, with the move he pulled, I don't know who's going to be a taker. Of course, someone's going to take him. He's a 5-star. He's supposedly a really good quarterback, but he hasn't shown me the ability to win big games. He hasn't shown me the ability to be good in big games. If he was even good in big games, Tennessee might have a chance, but hasn't really done that. So we'll see what happens there. It was also kind of bad that his family is going behind everyone's back and doing it, which they can say it was only the family, but you can't tell me Nico didn't have some sort of that. So we'll see what happens when the full truth comes out, which I'm really interested to see. But I just think they did the right thing by cutting him loose, because that was not cool, and I'm just not okay with that. So we'll see what happens there, and let's dive right into the NBA. So NBA playoffs came The brackets came out, and let's just start with my first initial reactions and thoughts to it. Thunder getting the 1 seed in the West wasn't really a surprise. Cavaliers 1 seed in the East, which I think is really great. I think there's a lot of decent matchups. I think the Lakers lucked out by the Warriors not getting that 6 seed, because I think the Warriors would have easily beat them. I really do. I don't think the Lakers are that good. I think if you get little LeBron, they're going to win a lot more games, but that's neither here nor there. So we'll see what happens with the Timberwolves. But let's start with the play-in games, because that's really the first kind of thing here. So the play-in games in the West, we have the 10 versus 9, which is the Mavericks versus the Kings. And then we have the Warriors versus the Grizzlies. I think, the 9 versus 10 game, I got to think that I don't know, man. I mean, I got to think that the Kings could win that. But honestly, the Mavericks with AD been playing a lot better once AD got freed from LeBron taking his touches and kind of hurting him. So we're going to go with the Mavericks in that game. I think the Mavericks are just a better team, and they'll play the loser of that. But we'll see. And then in the Warriors-Grizzlies matchup, I think that's not even a question. I think that's an easily Warriors win. I think the Warriors are, as a 7 seed, a scary team in the Western Conference. I would not want to see them if I'm in the Western Conference. So the Rockets, if the Warriors win that game, that's a tough game for the War. But the Rockets, the Rockets are the team for the Warriors that could stop the Warriors, because they play really, really hard defense. Ime Udoka is a great coach, great defensive coach. It's really going to be tough for him to get through that, but we'll see there. So I'm going to go with Warriors win that, so they'll play the Rockets, and then we'll go Mavericks would play the Grizzlies, and I think the Grizzlies would probably end up winning that, so they would end up playing the OKC Thunder, which honestly, I know the Grizzlies a couple years ago beat them as an 8 seed, so let's not sleep on the Grizzlies there. I think the Grizzlies are a sleeping giant. That could be a really good team. And then in the East, we got the Bulls and the Heat, and then the Magic and the Hawks. I think it's easy. I think the Bulls win that game. I think the Bulls have been on a tear lately. Getting rid of DeMar and Zach LaVine, is tough for a lot of Bulls fans, but, I think they tried to go with the youth movement, and it seemed to work. I mean, Josh Giddey's turned into a star right before our eyes. People don't want to talk about him, but he's balling, man. And Kobe White's, ever since last year really developed, and same with Matas Buzelis. People said he was supposed to be number 1 pick in the draft, and now he's a lot better. So we'll see what happens there, and I think that's awesome, and I think that they have an opportunity to do something there special. And then it would be the Magic versus the Hawks, which I'm also going to go Team Magic. Paulo Banchero was out a lot of the year, which hurt their seeding a lot, but I think that's a really good team. They're the 5 seed last year. I think they could still make some noise there, and we're going to go there. So they would play – that's the 8-9. So if they win, they play the Celtics, and the Bulls would play the Hawks. Honestly, man, I don't know if it's my Chicago bias or what, but I'm just going to go with the Bulls. I think they've been playing really, really good lately. They have a really good opportunity to be a really good team, and that's what we're going with there. So if that's the playoff picture, then we have OKC versus the Grizzlies. So we're gonna go in that series. I think OKC gets it done. I think the Grizzlies could be a sleeping giant, but I just think OKC does get it done. The only thing that worries me about OKC though is their foul. They kind of are foul merchants. So they don't get that as much in the playoffs, but they've been the best team all year. They got Chet and everyone healthy, so I think that's a win for them. And then in the Rockets Warriors series, man, that's a tough one for me, because I really think the Warriors are one of the best teams in the West, but I think the Rockets are the team that could stop them because of their physicalness. They got the guards to do it. The Thompson brother. They got Jalen Green. They got Sengun. Van Fleet's still balling. People don't want to talk about him. He's still balling. Dylan Brooks is just a nuisance. A kid you hate playing because he's just annoying. Man, I got to go with the Warriors in that series. I think Steph Curry is that good, and I think Jimmy Butler is that good. So we're going to go with an upset in that series with the Rockets. We're going to go with the Warriors beating the Rockets. And then the 3-6 we'll go with first. The Lakers versus Timberwolves. I think the Lakers lucked out, again, as I said, on that matchup. So we're going to go with the Lakers. And then the Nuggets-Clippers, man. I got to ride with my Nuggets. I think Jokic is the best player in the world. He has been for the last 6 years. He should win MVP. He probably won't because of this voter fatigue shit that people say, but he is the best player. He averaged a triple-double as a center. So whatever you guys want to say, he's the best player in the NBA. So we're gonna go with the Nuggets in that series. So then the Celtics would play the winner of the Magic series. So I think that's a Celtics dub. I think the Celtics are the best team there. And then the Bulls would play the Cavaliers. I think, as much as I like the Bulls, I think the Cavaliers are a better team. They've got a lot better players. They just play as a team, which is tough to beat these days. So we go with them. 4-5, we got Bucks, Pacers. I think the Bucks win that series. The only thing that makes me nervous is Doc Rivers. I think he's an okay coach. He has the championship, so I got to give him that. But I think he's an okay coach. He's proven time and time again that, he had a really good team with the Sixers all those years and could never do anything with it, even the conference finals. So that, and then the Knicks and the Pistons, man, that's another series that I think could go either way. I think the Knicks kind of fell down because Brunson, and that's a whole different team with Brunson. But the Pistons are the truth this year, man. Cade Cunningham is the truth. JB Bickerstaff's got that team playing really good, and I think that's a series that could go either way. I'm going to ride with the Knicks just because I know Brunson's the truth. I know Thibodeau is a proven coach in the playoffs. But, again, that series could really go either way. So, with that, let's dive into the next round. So, if both the teams I predict win, so the Thunder would play the Nuggets and the Lakers would play the Warriors. I think the Nuggets beat the Thunder in a 7-game series. I really do. I don't think Shai's as good as people say he is. He's a great player, but we'll see what happens in the playoffs when he's not getting as many foul calls. And then I think the Warriors beat the Lakers. I really do. I've seen it time and time again. I think Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler. I know Steph Curry is better than LeBron. I'm saying it time and time again. People want to say it's LeBron's era. I think I'd argue it's Steph Curry's era. It's been his era. I don't think – you have the same amount of championships with less losses as Steph Curry. And Jimmy Butler has led a team to the finals twice, and he never gets credit for it. Yeah, he didn't win any, but LeBron did the same thing in the East, and he lost them, and then he had to go get on a super team to win. So you can say what you want about that, but I think that happens. So Nuggets Warriors, man, I'm not going to say anything, but I think that's going to be the conference finals. We'll see what happens. I'm going to give a breakdown, more analysis then. And then the Cavs would play. Who did I say the Cavs would play? The Bulls. I think because the Cavs would win. So the Cavs would play the Bucks, and the Knicks would play the Celtics. I think the Celtics are too good of a team. I think they've been too good of a team for how many ever years, and I got to stay with the Celtics there winning that series. And then honestly, the Bucks versus the Cavs series, I want to pick the Bucks because I think Giannis Antetokounmpo is that good, but I can't go against the Cavs this year. They've played too good as a team, and that's the thing that a lot of people don't want to admit. They play as a team, and I know playing as a team's weird in this day and age because people are like, oh, team. Teams win championships. I think we're going back to that era instead of super teams. Nuggets won 2 years ago, and the Celtics won last year, and they're both really good teams. So that would mean it'd be a Celtics Cavaliers conference finals, and then a Nuggets Warriors one. We'll see what happens. I think that's my conference finals predictions for now. I'm not going to give y'all my finals prediction yet. We'll get to that next week on our next Leaky Talk, but that's kind of my breakdown for everything. When the NHL breakdown bracket comes out, we're going to dive in with that, and I'll give you my final prediction as well for the NBA. So that's Dyl Talks Sports. That was Weekly Talk. What week is it? 4/14, April 14th. Going to keep giving you guys these weekly talks, man. Really passionate about this kind of stuff, and want this to be my full-time job and get paid for this and all that. And, I manifest that every single day of my life, and I appreciate everyone that's been with me the journey since the beginning. I couldn't do this without you all, and I'm going to keep doing it because it's something I'm passionate about and something my artistic brain, it helps me, kind of relax and get to where I want to go. So appreciate everyone joining along. Again, Rory, congrats on the Masters, man. That's amazing. Nico, I don't know what to say about you, bro. That's kind of disrespectful. I guess Nico's are just having a generational run this year. Nico Harrison trading Luka, and then, generational, terribly run, I guess. So shout out Nico's. Hopefully the year goes better for y'all. And then the NBA playoffs, man. But again, really appreciate y'all joining along. Let me know what else you guys think and want in the comments down below. I just appreciate everyone. And like I said, just keep going through things, keep breaking through hurdles, keep breaking through walls. You guys can do anything you want if you just keep pushing through. And, it might not happen a day, might not happen a week, might happen a month, might not happen a year. But just keep believing, keep pushing through, and things will come to you. And that's no doubt, and I promise that. And Everyone have a great day. God bless and be you. Thanks, guys. See ya.